Welcome to the event. We're really happy that you're here. We're about to go live in just a few moments, but before we lift off, there's a few important things we want to make sure that you're aware of so you get the best possible experience out of this. First of all, the sound current is supremely important to us, the musical experience. So if possible, we really encourage you to use good speakers or headphones to experience the class with. Second, if you have any pre-existing injuries, please take care of yourself, modify as you need to. Don't risk exacerbating an injury because of a yoga exercise. If you have any pre-existing medical conditions and you're not quite sure if this would be good for you, please consult with your primary healthcare practitioner and make sure it's the right thing for you. Also, make yourself relatively comfortable. You can use a cushion, and in fact, we encourage you in our seated positions, meditation practices, to use a cushion. It helps lift the heart up, keep the spine straight, and it's more ideal for the flow of energy in the body and for the meditation experience. You can even be sitting in a chair with feet flat on the floor for those of you that are unable to sit in a meditative sitting posture on the floor. Just use a chair, and for many of the exercises, that will work perfectly fine. And then lastly, if you're having any problems with the video streaming, try refreshing the page, or if you see a gear icon on the video, adjust your resolution. If you're new to this type of thing, just take care of yourself. If there's something that you don't quite understand, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Everything that needs to click will click after a few times of trying it out. Enjoy the experience. We're about to get started in just a moment. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Happy New Year. So good to be with you. And so for everyone who's joining, who's doing this type of thing for the first time, or at least hanging out with us in the Life Force Academy for the first time, welcome. So happy you're here. And everybody who's hung out with us here before, welcome. Always grateful to be with you. I think it's a big year. Certainly, it always is, in a certain relative way, or in a certain really ultimate way. It's always a big year because every moment of our life is precious. So every year of our life is totally precious. But then also, of course, we have times in our lives where there's big transformation that's taking place. And that's true for everyone because we're all part of this big global transformation. And most of us got some big transformation that has also been catalyzed in our life in the last couple of years. And now I think, especially now, with Jupiter fully in Vedic Aquarius, sidereal Aquarius, and Capricorn making a short visit to Aquarius, Saturn making a short visit to Aquarius, coming out of Capricorn into Aquarius in the spring, but then going back into Capricorn for the remainder of the year. And then when we hit 2023, Saturn will go into Aquarius for good, for another, it takes 27 and a half, 29 and a half, however long it takes Saturn to go around the Earth. That's why when you get into your late 20s, they call it your Saturn return, because Saturn is finally getting back to the point it was when we were born. When we get to the late 20s, that's the first Saturn return. Last year, another 27 and a half so years, then you get to your second Saturn return. But in a certain important way, the world is having a Saturn return right now, and has been because Saturn has been in Capricorn where it's really strong. And then that conjunction of Jupiter with Capricorn, with Saturn in Capricorn over the last year and a half has been totally transformative for the entire world, for the entire world. And again, I make this point often. It's not so much necessarily thinking of it, it's the planets in the sky that are making this happen. But to me, astrology is the language of nature. It's one way of understanding the language of nature. It's one way of decoding the language of nature. The language of intelligence, the language of love, the language of constriction, the language of expansion. So it's not some like, okay, we have like some fear of planets controlling what's going on. No. But they allow us to understand the waves of nature and the lessons of nature and the goodness inside of nature, even the difficult things, because Saturn does bring difficulty, but Saturn also improves the world and improves our lives when we work with it in a harmonious way. When we don't work with it in a harmonious way, it can be very destructive energy. And so that's why it's so nice to be doing this type of a thing, where we're working with the difficult energy of life in a yogic-like way. And then we're also able to hold the greater positive energy of life in the feeling of not only a hypothetical hope, but the living energy of hope. And the living energy of hope is the experience that we continue to blossom, and we continue to love deeper, and we continue to become more wiser. So working with Saturn energy in a harmonious way, you're going to get wiser. You're going to be able to get the benevolent showers of Jupiter energy, wisdom. And Jupiter energy is also prosperity energy. So when we're saying prosperity in the yogic sense, of course it means so much more than monetary wealth. Monetary wealth is fantastic, but it's just pales in comparison to what real prosperity is. And people don't like to hear that if we are struggling with monetary wealth at the moment. But it's important to hear that, because that is also the key, ironically, or maybe paradoxically, to helping our monetary situation as well. Because a monetary situation has an energy, that's an energy of life. In astrology, you see that represented in the second house. Basic resources. And so it's also represented as food. Prosperity and food are of the same symbologies. Because that is the real wealth, is the ability to nurture yourself, the ability to stay alive here, the ability to have enough vitality so that you can do what you're here to do. Get in that wavelength, you will not have the problem with the resources that are needed, even though we may feel like we have a problem, because we're not yet trusting enough that we're going to be provided for, as long as we're continuing to do our best to open our hearts, to serve in the best way we know how to serve and help others, and to take care of ourselves in the best way that we know how to take care of ourselves. Because prosperity is all about service. It's not about, as much to me, manifestation as it is about service. Service will help you be a great manifestation person, but service is first in the sequence. How could it not be? Because it's what you're putting out is what is coming back. It's very simple, but we make it complicated because the mind is complicated, and all of our subconscious insecurities and needs and desires and everything is like, we all are dealing with all of it. So that's why it's nice to come together today and put our attention on it, to unpack it a little bit, get inside of it, and then use these exercises, embody it, get it into the body. Use the meditations, use the practices to bring ourselves into the space where we can feel the gratitude of that. And when we can bring ourselves embodied into a space where we can feel the gratitude for our life, what we already have right now, that whole process will cause that condition to arise. It's fantastic. And so when you enter into the flow of our genuine gratitude, again, it's not a principle we're trying to live. That's true too. Already, of course, all our lives, gratitude's a principle we're trying to live. Why? Because we feel better when we feel gratitude. And when you feel a lack of gratitude, you don't feel as good. It's very simple. It's not moral in that sense. It's basically, I want to feel good. I have a right to feel good. It's a birthright to find happiness. So, because every single living being has the desire for happiness. That's how that becomes our birthright, is we all share it together. And so when we can generate the type of conditions that help the feeling of gratitude remain more consistently prominent in our day-to-day life, then here comes prosperity. So, these are subtle spaces to work with, but that's what is going to be, that is what is going to stand the test of time, what is subtle in nature. Not some magic trick where all of a sudden, $5,000 check shows up in your mailbox from something, that you were not expecting. Yeah, sometimes that happens, cool, whatever. To me, this is not indicative of much. You see what I mean? That's nice. It's not like we don't like it. We say, thank you, Jupiter. These are living energies of life. That's why they become deities in all the mythological traditions. And so, when you go to India, and Jupiter is not the planet in the sky, Jupiter is the living being, Guru Brihaspati. And there's a genuine relationship there. And Saturn is not the cold planet in the sky. That's one emanation, the cold planet in the sky of Shani. And so these are living bioenergies that affect us all. And this is and mythology is so useful because it personifies the living energies of nature's intelligence. And that's the living energy of our own psychology, the living energy of the universe that we're in. So if we lose our relationships to these myths, which we have in modern world, if we lose the relationship, that's the great tragedy of indigenous populations throughout the entire world in near extinction. That's a total tragedy. So all of us should be concerned about making sure that we can do whatever we can to help our wisdom traditions survive. Because the whole entire fabric of our existence benefits from that. It's too little to say just the whole entire world benefits from that. But it's more like the whole entire universe benefits from that, because what we put into the web of life is what comes back to us. This is the laws of prosperity. This is why service is in the center of it. Because what I'm naturally giving from my heart, that's why always is a requirement in yoga practice, meditation practices, to constantly check our motivations. That's a practice. That's not something I check my motivation once and now I'm good to go. But I need to check my motivations on the daily to make sure my ego is not sneaking in. Because you can develop good Shakti, good powerful energy with yoga practices. But that good energy, that Shakti, that strong energy can easily go in service of your ego if you're not careful. So that's why it's important to have a part of our practice to constantly check our motivations. And make sure that our motivations is generally coming from a place of love, a place of the desire for our real happiness and the conditions that give us real happiness. That, of course, means then you have to become somewhat of a student of yoga or a student of dharmas, because now you have to figure out what are the conditions that causes happiness. And that's kind of what the study or the
the investigation of the mysteries of Dharma are all about. How do I generate conditions that will give me happiness? Not listening to some person, some teacher, some expert, some anything, and blindly believing what they say, but rather investigating our own life, or investigating our own minds and hearts, and sure, taking good tips and good wisdom that has been passed on over ages upon ages, and good wisdom that we've discovered for ourselves in our own life, or we have benevolent friends, of course, that share their wisdom with us, and we can share our wisdom with them. Wisdom is a flow. So then, when we're doing it as an investigation for ourselves, we can genuinely discover how to become more happy. And also, we can, just the same as each one of us wishes to be happy, each one of us wishes to not have to suffer. And all of us suffer. And there's a genuine, we're not talking philosophical wishes here. We're talking about the longing in every heart. Is the wish to be happy and the wish not to suffer, and also the wish that others don't suffer, and also the wish that others are happy. It starts here, but then in order for happiness to occur, it has to continue to extend, because what is that? Just wishing that I'm happy and not wishing that others are happy, or only wishing that others that I like are happy. What is that? And wishing unhappiness for those who I don't like or don't think like me, what's up with that? And so we have to check our own egos and be real with ourselves. Check ourselves, check our aspiration. And this is why I find it so what the Buddhists call the four immeasurables, or four boundless attitudes. The wish for happiness and the conditions of happiness. The second is the wish for, well, the first one is boundless happiness. The second is boundless love. And that's the wish that all beings are freed of suffering. And starting with ourselves, I always feel that's very important. To try to extend a wish that hasn't first applied here is not much of an energy. So including ourselves in that, of course. But not keeping it only for ourselves. That's the main point, which brings you to the third boundless attitude, which is boundless joy. And that's sometimes called sympathetic joy. I don't so much care for the sympathetic semantic, but it's not a bad word. It gets the point across. But how I often think of this is in a couple of different ways, but maybe the most practical way is finding happiness from when others are experiencing happiness, even if I'm suffering. You know how our mind's egoic tendency can be sometimes when we're suffering. We're kind of wishing suffering for others a little bit. That mind, it doesn't make us bad. None of this is bad or good. This is investigation of the mind's tendencies. It's useful sometimes to depersonalize it. That's good use of Saturn energy. Saturn doesn't give a shit about your emotions. Depersonalize it. There's other planets care very much of the emotions, the moon and Venus. But Saturn energy comes in, it cares nothing of that. So if you depersonalize the patterns, just even as an exercise, you can access your Saturn. Everybody has it. It's called the Muladhara Chakra. So you depersonalize the mental, emotional tendencies just for investigation of them. Because if they're personal, you can't look at them in a way that's non-biased. So therefore, when we look at the ego's tendency. The ego is just part of the psyche. You can think of it as like the glue that holds the body and the infinity together, the soul energy in the body. But it's the I former. It's how we identify. It's how we identify with things and ideas in this case. But it's very deep. So much of it isn't operating from our conscious mind, our conscious awareness. The vast majority of it is operating from the subconscious mind. So it's below the surface of our normal thought patterns. So though, of course, for the vast majority of people, the intent isn't to wish suffering on others, but there's the emotional subconscious pattern that comes in and does that. Who knows where it comes from? But we all have layers upon layers upon layers of conditions that obstruct us from experiencing the great brilliance of what we are. And so it's worth unpacking these and looking at these so that they can be kind of dissipated over time. That's what these kriyas are so helpful in doing, because it's one thing to talk about it and to investigate it like we're doing now. Then it's another thing to take what we've learned and then work with it with the body, the breath, and the mind. To purify that which is obstructing the conditions of happiness. And transform that energy into a more helpful form and a more helpful expression. So that same intensity of energy that might want someone else to suffer, that's, of course, we're trying to protect ourselves. The ego is there to protect you, protect your sensitive, vulnerable hearts. And so therefore, when the ego gets a little too strong, then it can be a little bit extra animosity, unnecessary. So with the same intensity that we all experience that, and the same intensity is that when I experience a negative emotion, negative in the context here means it's unhelpful, it's causing more suffering, it's perpetuating suffering, my suffering and others. Because those always go together, of course. So the same intensity of that emotion can be transformed with the same intensity of its opposite emotion, which is when you get happy, I get happy. And even when, check this is far more difficult, of course, takes lots of practice. When my enemy gets happy, I get happy too. Because the happier they are, the less the enemy they're going to be. And if they get really, truly happy, they won't cease to be anybody's enemy. So what's the disposition? That's what they mean, boundless attitudes. Sympathetic happiness, sympathetic joy. And you're getting happy. And so the other aspect of the third boundless attitude is that it's just, I wish for our cups to overfloweth. It's wherever there is happiness, may that happiness expand, increase, and overflow. This is devotion. It's not intellectual stuff. It's heart stuff. That's a desire, a longing of the heart. Just tune into it. It's there. And then give it prominence. As opposed to our kind of more, stingy dispositions having a little too much prominence. It's not saying we're not going to be human and sometimes feel stingy and sometimes feel all the different ways. We're not saying that. We're saying make it a practice to love even deeper. And whatever you practice, you get good at. Simple. So the fourth boundless attitude, which is kind of in a certain way makes all the others have their Shakti, their power, is that it's called boundless impartiality, which we've already kind of been flirting with. And basically all that means is that I'm not discriminating at all with my wishes for happiness and the alleviation of suffering. That wish extends beyond any boundary, any sense of discrimination, any sense of difference. It doesn't care about ideologies of that other person or where they're from or whether they like me or whether they wish to kill me. The same wish would extend. And that's what they say about the Buddhas, is that if a person were to come and adorn you with flowers at your feet, worshiping you essentially, and yet at the same time another person would come with an arrow endeavoring to pierce your heart and kill you, that you would not feel one extra iota of attraction towards the one worshiping you and one extra iota of repulsion towards the one wishing for you. Because I don't know I'm nowhere near that. From what I can tell, I have no even total comprehension of what that is, because I'm not an enlightened being. I'm a human being with all sorts of subconscious obscurations, and still all I know is basically I don't know. And so, but my senses, sometimes I have a sense, and then I can explore that sense, just like you, is that there's something much bigger going on here, and that you can see from that perspective more of a divine drama that is taking place that would not make us fear death, and that would also not make us grip on to life. And that's what they call it, yoga, is union, is it where the infinite and the finite are coming into one. It's a space of in the between. So when we're talking prosperity, what are we talking about? We're talking about going into the deeper spaces of what we are, getting more into the real genuine nucleus of our being and of our hearts. And part of how we do that is not just with powerful pranayama breath exercises and yogic exercises to get the energy moving in our bodies. That's super helpful. But what is it really super helpful for? So you can have the wishes for love, and it can have more and more impartiality over time. So that's why I say, if you're developing lots of strong energy, it's still totally possible that strong energy is serving the ego. It's not always a easy thing to discern sometimes until it is. But even the mind is very tricky. So therefore, that's why, in addition to the 4 boundless attitudes, there's always the practice of checking our motivation. Always every time we sit down to practice. That's the usefulness in certain rituals that we have every morning, and put it in creating more ritualization in life that help us put these things as habits into our lifestyle. That's what the 40-day challenge is about. It's helping to create a healthy ritual of taking care of the body and the mind on the daily, helping to keep the life force centered in the body and the nervous system, helping the mind to maintain connectivity to its intuitive heart, and then from there being able to vibrate, project energies of prosperity. And that's what we put the specific focus on in this new year, in this time of the year, for 7 years straight. And it's a wonderful way to begin the year. And so when I get up in the morning and I light my incense in the altar space in our living room, this is the routine that I go through. And some mornings of what are the aspirations, what are my dispositions, and then when I turn that light off on that altar, it has a light above it, and I do it at the end of the night, I go through them again. What are my dispositions? Because otherwise, if you don't have some sort of ritual around these types of things, they tend to not happen as consistently. And it's consistency. This is how we practice. It's creating grooves in our life. Because sometimes you accidentally create negative rituals. What is that? You habitually talking shit about people. This is a human thing. We've all done it. I'm not looking down on it. That's the thing. This is just what the mind does. Catch it. And when you catch it, have a laugh. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It was probably something funny, you know? I'm sure there's some good jokes in there. It's not making it all such a big deal because we're able to depersonalize it. Depersonalizing it helps you to become more and more liberated. Because when you recognize that the flow of the emotions and the flow of the mind are not representative of your supreme being, of your supreme self, then you can experience the drama with a little less gripping onto one thing, pushing away from the other thing. That becomes the path of really beautiful baby steps. No rush. Just, we're actually enjoying where we are now. Gratitude. The enjoying of where we are now is mixed with gratitude. And when that enjoying of where we are now, and from that enjoyment, just having the organic desire to blossom, to continue to blossom, this is the prosperity path. And so this is a path of mystery and of patience and of discovery of what we are and what our life is all about. It's a beautiful thing. It's the human path, the human mythology. Okay, so we're going to tune in, we're going to move our bodies, and we're going to do several exercises to bring us into these 3 meditations that will go together for this prosperity experience. And these 3 kriyas are what we're going to be doing for the 40-day challenge that's starting in just a handful of days here. And for the 40-day challenge, there'll be 3 different tiers based on how much time do you want to spend. Because today we're going to do it a little more extensive. We're all here together. It's an incredible day. It's an important day. It's a wonderful day to be alive. And it's a wonderful time to be all together. So when we have this great group energy, even for folks who are taking this in the recording, replay, same thing. Collected energy, we're all sharing an experience together. We will do it a little more extensively perhaps, but we've set it up for you. Anyone who is going on this 40-day journey, for sure. We've set it up to where there's 3 tiers. The first tier, a much shorter amount of time. Middle tier is a moderate amount of time. And then the third tier is a much more extensive amount of time. So, and depending on whether you're brand new to this all or you're a long-time practitioner and what your aspirations are, you would choose just for yourself where in that you would want to land. But for today, let's just all go in, do it together. We're going to do some really helpful exercises. We're going to feel great. But please, as always, take care of yourself, take care of your bodies, modify anything you need to, and enjoy yourself. And let's tune in. Take the hands prayer pose and just put some energy into your breath. Through the nose, long and deep breathings. Kind of on the inhale, filling the body, filling the lungs as deeply as you can. It'll open as we go here. Exhaling through the nose. And just using it to help center your energy and your nervous system. And if you're brand new to all this, don't worry too much about the tuning in and all. We vibrate the mantra like it's like a tuning fork. It's helping to center the energy in the nervous system. It's helping to bring the mind's energy into more relaxed, clear space. And it helps to vibrate the different centers of the heart center, pituitary, pineal, thymus glands. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Come onto the hands and knees. Let's start moving our bodies. New year, new life, new energy. You'll start cat-cow. Inhaling, the head is up. Exhaling, the head is down. Nice, smooth rhythm. And trust your own body, and let yourself, ease into it. But put the emphasis on the depth of your breathing. And with the deeper breath, the body will start to open up. The spinal system can become more supple. The movement more fluid. You'll feel like your life channel is opening. Keep going. Inhale deeply, head is up. Exhale, head is down. Very nice. Come on, sitting up on your heels. Hands on your lap, chest lifted. You're gonna lift through your sternum. Exhale back. My pace is too quick for you. Go your own pace, but find a rhythm for yourself, find a groove. If you can hit the sit, num, sit, num, sit, num, sit, num. Or maybe you'll work into that. Sit, num, sit, sit, num. If you can, please, as you continue, as your pelvic floor is lifted, engaged core, and that'll let you move in the upper body with more suppleness. It helps you move your energy better. Keep your core energy engaged, gives you inner vitality, and then breathe and move on top of that foundation. Hit the groove, 25 seconds. Now sit, now sit, now sit, now sit, now sit, deep. Suspend the breath. Third eye gaze. Draw your optic nerve, optic gaze, space between the two eyebrows. And relax, exhale. All right, come back cross-legged, or most of these exercises you can do sitting on a chair, if that's something that makes it all work for you. Absolutely. Okay, hands are here. Pelvic floor lifted. And again, once you find your posture, your rhythm, make sure also then you endeavor to lift through the pelvic floor and then give it a substantive rhythmic breath. To the center, inhale. Suspend the breath. Lift through the root lock, rectum, sex organ, navel. Relax the mind. Soften the heart. Spacious. And then exhale. You see what I mean? Even if you just do that every day, and we could bring up the type of energy that we were able to do it with, neutralization of the life force, spaciousness of the mind, softness of the heart, and you were doing it every day and feeling it, prosperity. That is the energy of prosperity. It could only flow from there. And so hands on your knees. Then but that's not what's that is contextualized in Kundalini Yoga as a prosperity kriya. There are some kriyas that are contextualized in Kundalini Yoga as prosperity kriyas. I think it's very important to understand what is the energy of prosperity itself and how do we cultivate it. You can come through. How do we cultivate it in our life in a genuine way where it's not just kind of some sort of abstract thing that may just pop into our life. Every exhale, release the tension in your upper shoulders, upper back. Every exhale, release the tension and the stress in the upper back. Prosperity is you being you. And part of us being able to do that for ourselves is to take care of ourselves in a way that stress doesn't over-accumulate into our nervous systems and thus our minds, and cloud our hearts. This is where self-love is our starting point. Self-care is our starting point. We only have so many breaths here. Have to consider our life force to be very precious and to create the boundaries necessary to take care of ourselves. Every exhale, and sometimes boundaries with our stressful tendencies. Inhale. Squeeze out the tension, squeeze up the shoulders. Exhale, release. Good, stretch your legs out wide. Stretch your legs out wide. Flex your feet. You bring energy into your toes. Inhale, center, turn to either side, exhale, down. Inhale up to the center, turn to either side, exhale, down. Every inhale, fill your lungs. And take your time, don't rush it. Take enough time to where you take a good breath. Not about repetitions, it's about depth. Fill the lungs and open up the life nerve, the sciatic. Inhale, center. If you can, open a little more and continue. Make sure you're right on your sit bones.
to the center, inhale. And then exhale, shake the legs out. Come standing, please. Index finger will be to your thumb. And your palms facing forward. Eyes are open. Pick any point to just meditatively gaze at. That means just relax your concentration onto a single point. Okay? And then you're gonna inhale, arms up, knee up. Exhale down. Sat, na, sat, na, sat, na, sat, na, sat, na. Good. Get the knees up to hip level if possible, and give the breath rhythmic depth through the nose. Use the arms to really open up your lymphatic channels. So much of your immune system governed by your lymphatic system. All those lymph nodes under your arms and your upper chest and armpits. Your lymph doesn't have a pump like your blood has the heart that pumps it, circulates it. We have to circulate our lymph. That's why we have to exercise. And we have to breathe so we can stay healthy, so we can stay vital. Okay, stretch up with the arms. Release the shoulder blades and make your fingertips touch the ceiling. Release your shoulder blades, make your legs strong, extend through your spine. Fantastic, exhale. Good, stretch the legs wide. And the arms are out and the fingers are firm. This is your inhale. Then you exhale here down. Then get this, you use your core strength and you draw your navel in as you come up, inhale, and then exhale down. You might not be able to get all the way down like Charlotte is. Charlotte, show like what it might look like if there's less flexibility, right? Or just need to protect their core a little more. Good, just something, and it can be slower too, you know, it can be slow and deep. Good. Because this is way less about flexibility, this exercise, and it's way more about developing your core vitality, and you mix that physical core with your pranic breath by drawing a full inhalation in as you draw in the core. That's how you mix the prana, positively charged life force, and apana, negatively charged life force, at your navel point. That mixing of the prana and apana vayu, winds, the two life force winds of the organism, that which brings energy into the body, that which eliminates energy out of the body. That mixing at your navel point is what gives you the vitality of magnetism. That gives you a Shakti to move your own energy. And then it's still up to you what you do with it. So with good energy comes good responsibility. To be a helpful person, to not let our desires get in the way to the point where they cause suffering to others and suffering to ourselves. But to tune into the harmonious pathway of our life, and we'll find all of beautiful desires that can be fulfilled, and we can experience the deep pleasures of life. And when we're experiencing pain, we'll grow from that, and we'll love deeper from that. And inhale up, and then exhale, relax. And then frogs. So shake your legs out a little bit. Shake your legs out a little bit, like with a little New Year's spunk. All right, come now to frogs. Heels are together, please. And your chest is lifted and fingertips on the floor. And this is your inhale position. You inhale, straighten your legs. Head comes down. Ideally, the heels never touch the floor. But there's a real ideal, then there's just a real. So do the best you can. But ideally, your heels are touching, and and the bottoms of them never touch the floor. Okay, and you exhale back to starting position, and you're going 26 repetitions with a really good, deep, rhythmic pranic breath. You'll just be doing like this, like it's nothing, and then it's like, okay, good. Vitality, you can build upon that. Even in 1 week, 10 days maybe. 2 weeks, no problem. Let the world get in your way. It can't, The energy of your dharma is too magnificent for challenges to do anything but to make it stronger. Good. And come make yourself back to a sitting, relax, easy pose. Have a little bit of water. Do you know what I mean? In the flow of your heart, nothing can stop that. That's why it's worth taking care of it, and that's why that's the value of a consistent practice, because a consistent practice means you've carved out time. And the only way we've truly prioritized anything in our life legitimately is it shows. And when you carve out time, it shows. There's something that's happening within that time and space that is dedicated to taking care of our minds, our bodies, and our hearts. So this is what we mean when we say ritualizing our life. It's has nothing to do with anyone's religion. It has to do with building habits of happiness, habits of vitality, habits of love. Because there's, like they say, there's in every person there's the old Native American story where the young boy asks his grandfather, or the grandfather speaking to the young child and saying, and within everyone there's two wolves. One wolf that is of altruism, one that is of love and compassion and kindness, and then there's one that's evil and one that's full of darkness and spite and jealousy and hatred. And the young child said, and they're at battle. And the young child asks, well, which one wins? He's like, whichever one you feed. Whichever one you feed. So that's a good story. And so then how do we make sure that we're feeding the right channels of expression? The right channels meaning the ones that will make us healthier. And the ones that will help us enjoy our life. Ones that will help us feel more ourselves and less codependent on anyone. And because codependency is obstruction to love. And so, one more of these, index fingers to your thumb. Chest is lifted, index finger connected to your thumb. Jupiter mudra, index finger, Jupiter, to the thumb. This ego, ahankara. Bring your wisdom and prosperity to your sense of ego. Give it wisdom to travel. You need your ego, you need self-confidence,
But is the ego in service of what? Hands are like this. Chest is lifted. Tongue will come stretched out. Already purify the ego by stretching your tongue out. But stretch the undercord of the tongue. That helps to kind of stimulate and balance parasympathetic, sympathetic nervous system. And if you open your chest with this kind of panting breath, fantastic. It's immune intelligence, immune vitality. Open the rib cage. Keep going, but close the mouth and do it through the nose. Equal exhale, inhale with the rhythm. See if you can feel the navel helping to move the energy from the lower triangle up into your heart center. Transmuting the inner subconscious energy into the space of your heart. Let the heart guide us. Not the head. Through the nose, inhale deep, and let's tighten the body, tighten the whole body. Squeeze the spine, lift the root lock, and through the mouth, O-shaped mouth, powerful exhale. Through the nose, inhale. Lift the root lock, rectum, sex organ, navel up and in. Now tighten deep the spine and tighten the whole fiber of the body from everywhere below your head. Tighten deep, like a cannon exhale. Inhale deep, and squeeze deep, like you're centering the prana into every cell. The chi, magnetism, Shakti. Exhale. One more time. Lift the Mulabandha. Squeeze the body deep, but not the head. Don't squeeze the head. Keep your mind relaxed, but squeeze deep with the mind relaxed, you see? And exhale. If you're unable to keep the mind relaxed in an intense exercise, then back off a little bit, get the mind relaxed, and then back into it. Always endeavoring to keep the mind relaxed, even when working with your kind of more powerful or frustrated energies. Learning how to work with those energies with mental relaxation. So you can be powerful, you can be active, and you can be relaxed simultaneously. These are life skills we want. Because there's sometimes in our relationships, there's going to be powerful waves of energy coming through, difficult or really pleasurable, all of the above. And all of it benefits from a relaxed mind. And being able to ride the waves like a surfer. I'm sure, I'm not a surfer, but I know that great surfers, they're great because they learn how to relax into it and get into the flow of nature. Definitely.
You ever seen that Eddie Cow, that documentary? I think it's called Hawaiian. It's a beautiful story. But you just get to see how really life is about being attuned with nature, starting with our own nature. That's what experience of Dharma is all about. It's attuning ourselves with our nature, with our true nature. And that's a lifelong exploration. That's what these kriyas help us do. That's why they work, and that's why they help our prosperity, is because the more attuned we are to our real nature, the more things are going to flow in our life. Okay? Prosperity is always relative to our own life. So here we go. The 3 kriyas, and we're going to flow one from one right into the next. Okay? And the first exercise, the first kriya, is quite active and in a bit on the challenging side if you're not used to doing it. After a while, it's not so challenging, and then the challenge becomes not phoning it in. You see what I mean? Because it's not hard physically eventually. At first, it can be really hard physically. But eventually, you do it enough, it's not hard physically anymore. Then the challenge becomes keeping your concentration on what you're doing and putting it in your prana and working with it, as opposed to just kind of spacing out because you're doing the kriya because I said I would do it so many minutes a day, and I'm just kind of doing it. No problem. And also, if you do that, that's great. But to get more out of it, it's working on the regular basis of keeping your concentration on what you're doing. That's the harder part long term. So if you put that as an emphasis, then you're more likely to be consistent because it's not boring anymore. Because none of us are going to be very good at that, because as soon as you start doing, at first that is, because as soon as you start doing the kriya, it starts to trigger the subconscious mind. And by nature, the subconscious mind being kind of unloaded will start to cause all sorts of thoughts to come, all sorts of distractions, all sorts of even feelings or aggravations. Sometimes it's not intense feelings and aggravations, it's just daydreams. And so all of those are then used as simply clouds going across, waves passing through, none of them of any significant importance within the context of the kriya, always just endeavoring to bring our attention back to our breath and back to working with the life force energy. Now, that's not to say you're not going to have epiphanies that have substance and not going to have feelings that have substance. You will. And sometimes you'll gather great insight. But even that, just let it be. It's not that big of a deal. Allow things to come, allow things to go. Keep bringing ourselves back to our center point, and that's just opening of the heart, loving deeper, always getting back into our main aspirations. And then connecting, being able to keep learning about the practice so that you can connect the technique of what we're doing to the deeper aspirations that we have and how it works together. That's what the journey of this thing is about over time. And then the more we have the kind of understanding around it, the more we can kind of use it effectively. Just like the more you learn about anything in life, the more effective you become at using it, utilizing it. Okay, so this first kriya, your mouth will be in the O shape, and the breath will be... Many of you have done this many times. Some of you doing it first time ever. Hands will start here, and we're going to inhale, and the left hand comes on top of your right, above your head. You exhale, you come back to here, palms facing up, above your knees, this point. Then you inhale, up here, and then you exhale. And it's a key is using your navel on the exhale. We say navel below the belly button, abdomen comes up and in. So that the diaphragm will lift in that case. That will power the exhalation. So when it comes out, it has a force. Again, endeavoring to bring your mind back to relaxed. Be powerful, but yet be relaxed, not aggressive. Okay? I'll explain the next part once we arrive there. For now, begin like this. with the rhythm of the mantra, Hara. This Kriya works at the level of the prana, using the physical body, the physical movement of the Kriya, to create enough of a pressurization and circulation so that stagnant life force can circulate through all the channels, through all the centers of the psyche, and thus helping to purify the density of the subconscious pattern, the density of the body, the density of the mind, the accumulated residue of stresses gone by, and allowing the real energy of our hearts and the real energy of our being to come forth even more. Use the breath. The hands over the head, left hand over right, creates a neutralization at the point of the magnetic field. Keep your gaze into the third eye space. Eyes are closed, eyes are relaxed down. And draw your inner gaze into the space around where the root of your nose meets your skull bone. Between the two eyebrows. Not being intense about it. Keep the mind relaxed as best as you can. And then power with the breath. But graceful with the body. find the beauty in it. Find the pleasure in it. Find the joy in it. Find the creativity in it. Creativity is how you bring your mind, perhaps, into the flow of the inner life force, to circulate your chi, to bring your whole mind, body, spirit into the flow of your life's magic, like an instrument being tuned so it can vibrate a beautiful frequency, beautiful melody, song of your life. Minute, my friends. Release your shoulder blades, touch the knuckles to the ceiling. Lift the Mulabandha, then gently stretch around. Nice and slow. Then like a cannon through your mouth, exhale, O-shaped mouth. Inhale deeply. And then first create space in the spine, release the shoulders, extend. Keep your Mulabandha engaged, then gently go around and stretch around. And then exhale. And then one more time. Inhale deeply. Stretch up and around. And then exhale it out. Relax. Have a little water. This next exercise, the most famous of the quote-unquote prosperity kriyas of Kundalini Yoga, creates what they call in Jyotish, in Vedic astrology, Gajakasari Yoga, where the moon and Jupiter come together in some way. When the moon and Jupiter come together, and we get a energy of a combination for prosperity in our life. Someone born with Jupiter and the moon either conjunct or at an angle to each other in Vedic astrology, it creates at least a basic combination for prosperity. And of course, that's only one aspect of what's going on. There's going to be many, many other things, but this is the basic foundation of what we're talking about. And so here in the yogic practice, this is a moon center, the sides of your palms, and then Jupiter fingers, sides of your index fingers. The thumbs cross under the hands, right thumb under the left, okay? So it comes here, then it comes here. So you bring the sides of the palms together, then the index fingers, sides of the index fingers together, and the thumbs cross, right thumb under left, and you're at your heart center. And in this case, though, we'll be chanting the mantra, Hud, 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 Hud. And so when you chant this mantra, 2 points of our body, most important, the navel below your belly button comes in, and the tip of the tongue touches the upper palate of the mouth. Hud, Hud, Hud. So it's not har, it's always often transliterated H-A-R, Hud,
Hud. Tongue strikes your upper palate. Hud. Hud. And navel comes in. Hud. The penetrating mantra. So, and this is the Kriya. Your eyes will go tip of your nose. So if you can just even touch your nose while you're looking at your index finger, there it is. Takes a little practice. You'll get the hang of it though. Eyes slightly closed down. Eyes relax down towards the tip of the nose. And you start to chant with the mudra. Hud, Hud, Hud. You're using all of this energy you've generated in the previous Kriya, and now you're kind of projecting in your prosperity. You're strengthening the energy of the moon and Jupiter in your life. Tip of the tongue, the navel point. Those are, in a certain sense, your levers to access more of your energy in the body, in the nervous system, in the subtle body, the prana. It's not needy in any way. It's a celebration, a devotion. For the goodness that we already are. And you chant that alive.
Vibrate your gratitude. Feel into the prosperity for what you already have and for all that's to come. Preemptively grateful. Chant it out, tip of your tongue, navel, like a courtship though, you know, a celebration. Love. Deeply. Hold the palms like a cup together. A cup of receptivity that's already overflowing. Suspend your life force, suspend your breath, suspend your mind, and feel the overflowing cup. Then hold the position through the nose, exhale. Inhale very deeply. Suspend the breath in, suspend the mind, very expansive, generous of heart, overflowing. Hold the position through the nose, exhale. Inhale deeply, last final time. Suspend the breath, suspend the mind, expansive radiance. Soft and generous heart overflowing. Exhale. And final part. And take the Jupiter and Saturn out, and the thumb holds the pinky and ring. So index, middle finger out, and pinky and ring, Mercury, Sun held down by the thumb, both hands. Left hand touches the center of your chest, that's your sternum, heart center. Right hand palm faces forward, heart is open, shoulder blades released. And it's a beautiful position. And you endeavor to hold it as steady and still as possible, like an antenna or like an instrument. Just to allow yourself to be a good emptied vessel and move the prana with the breath. Begin to breathe long, slow and deep through your nose. Long, slow, deep, meditative breathing. And as you continue, you begin a visualization. While breathing slowly and meditatively with control, and take the breath up on the inhalation, up into your third eye point between the two eyebrows, the space, the spaciousness where the root of the nose meets the skull bone. Relax the energy there, and then on the exhale, bring the breath, or really bring the prana, to the heart center where your fingertips touch. Using the flow of the breath to direct your precious life force, connecting the head and the heart, connecting wisdom with compassion. You want the prana, the breath, to touch the entire area and really feel it. Not an intellectual thing, an embodied thing. Feel the breath in the body. Feel the centers of the psyche in the head, and feel the skull being filled with the prana, the breath, and the good energy and oxygenation from your excellent meditative breathing. And then feel the subtle energy as it animates up into the third eye space, and as it then animates creatively down into your heart space. What type of pathway and pattern does it take in your own feel and creative mind, creative touch, creative sensation? It opens the fourth, the fifth, the sixth chakras. It brings life to the endocrines, the guardians of your health. It balances the red and the white blood cells. Oxygenates the blood. Brings the nervous system into its centered vitality and allows the mind to open into its intuitive clarity. Concentrate on the breath visualization. As the mind goes elsewhere, compassionately draw it back into the concentration. final couple of minutes, stay in the meditation. Inhale deeply. Spacious. Hold the position, exhale. Very deeply inhale. Suspension. Spacious. Total trusting. Exhale. Inhale. Suspension, spacious. And relax. And sit in the energy for a moment. It's very relaxed, enjoying. Thinking of it, less and less of something I need to accomplish, but something that I'm taking time to enjoy my own energy, to enjoy my own meditative energy, to enjoy my own intelligence, to enjoy wisdom, but it's not my own. It's the energy of life that flows through me. It's the energy of intelligence that flows through us all when we open to it, but then it expresses itself in its totally unique ways with each of us, which is what makes it so interesting and fascinating and exciting. It's different. Every story, every person's mythology has its own arc and its own story and its own characters and its own archetypes. It's really cool stuff. So that's what's like opening ourselves into that. Less of like, I need to meditate. Yes, sure, that's part of it. That can be the more of the discipline side, but also mixing in plenty of I need to create space to enjoy my energy, so that can thrive in my life, and I can enjoy my life more and more. I'm creating it. So if I can't yet sit there and breathe and enjoy my energy, I'm practicing it. I'm practicing enjoying myself, enjoying my energy, even if I think that's what people mean when they say fake it till you make it. I don't love that phrase, because I think sometimes we end up, we should say, using that fake it till you make it as a lifestyle. And so instead we just want to, I like say you're emulating the energy of enjoyment. And you're using your breath and you're using your mind to help
you see if you can access a space of enjoyment, and maybe not, but you're trying, TRY, try, as Dr. Ladd likes to say. So that's the 3 meditations of this 40-day challenge. And so in the first tier, it's 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes for each of them. In the middle tier, it's 7, 7, 7. And in the third tier, it's 11, 11, 11. So you can also have here's my minimum I'm going to do. So no matter what, I'm going to do 3, 3, and 3. And what we do in the Life Force Academy is we create each of the tiers for you. So whichever tier you're at, you go to it. Then the videos or the audio for that meditation, for the length that you're doing it each day, is set up for you. So it's really just turnkey. We make it really easy. The whole thing of the Life Force Academy, create a place where people can have an inspired practice, not just a practice, but an inspired practice, and stay motivated and stay inspired and stay creative. So you can say, well, my minimum is the first tier, but when possible, I'm going to hit that middle one for sure because you feel inspired to do that. But maybe this is the first time you've ever done anything like this, then just do the first tier. So the first pillar of the 40-day challenge is starting on day 1, this Thursday, correct? The first day we're going to be doing another broadcast like this, and all do it together if you can, or you can do the replay anytime after that. Or you can also just go into the 40-day challenge page of the Life Force Academy, go to the tier you want to go to, and then do the meditations. That's what most days, that's the main pillar of the 40-day challenge, is each day, each one of us will do the meditations. The second pillar of the 3 is that on every Wednesday, now this is a special, different type of thing we're doing this year. So those of you who think you know exactly how it's all going to work, not yet. It's a little different this time, and I think you'll be excited about it. Every Wednesday, every Wednesday throughout the 40-day challenge, Charlotte here will be leading the live broadcasts. But what you'll all be doing together is Jupiter Kriya. So this will have to come to the live broadcast to experience what it is if you don't already know. But it's one of my favorites. It's really cool. And doing it once a week on top of all this, give me a break. That's going to be fantastic. So it's going to be great. It'll be challenging, but it's going to be great. So each day we do the meditations. Once a week, optional obviously, but encouraged, come to the live broadcast, because that'll also keep you inspired. But the third pillar is all about the inspiration, and that's actually getting in once a week and doing a full class. And so starting on January the 20th, I believe, I will be teaching a special series of classes each week, and really where we can spend time with this prosperity work, not just only doing the practices, but getting inside what do we want to use the practices, how do we want to use the practices so they're actually very effective in our life. And so that's the third piece of it. Now, at the very basic part, it's just do the meditations every day. But what we encourage you to do is to be even more engaged around it, and to also get inside the joy of it, get inside the teachings of it, get inside the fun of it. And that's what the other parts help us do. And as a special little thing for this time, this is the first time we've ever done this, but Nick on the Life Force Academy team said, well, you know what? How about if y'all are up for it, I'll get on Zoom every morning at what time? 6:30 a.m. Pacific, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. So that'd be 9:30 on the East Coast of the United States, and you can calculate from there. 6:30 Los Angeles time, 9:30 New York City time. Then you can calculate wherever in the world you are from there. That'll be on a Zoom space, and we'll provide you the link to that. But if you want to do the 3 meditations with Nick, what are they doing? The middle level, I think, something like that each day?
Low to middle, I think.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And so that's what's up. That'll be a accountability thing. If you really, some people really will benefit from doing it with other people and having like an accountability like crew. So that's also something we're offering this time as well. Anyhow, that's what's up. And I just wanted to tell you about it because this is, it's a beautiful new year. It was so nice to do all of this together today. And this is a great opportunity to continue on this momentum, to not make it just like a one-time thing because it's New Year's weekend. That's fine too. But if you want to really keep building upon it, I encourage you to give this a try. If you're not already a member of the Life Force Academy, it's just $1 to try it out for a 2-week trial. And of course, you can cancel anytime. And then after that 2-week trial, it's only $25 a month. And you have access to countless yoga classes and practices just like we've done today for all different areas of our life. Full classes, short practices, just so you can get something done in the morning. Like I said, it's designed to help you work with this stuff, work with these tools in a way that's practical, that's convenient, and then also hopefully that's creatively inspired. It certainly is for us. And so please jump in if you're feeling it. Would love, anybody can do this. This is not like a beginners or advanced or anything. It's for everyone and anyone who wants to give it a whirl. And it's a really fun journey. And so you are most invited if you're not already Life Force Academy member. This is just one part of what happens in there. And it's a great way to start though. Most people start the Life Force Academy with some 40-day challenge or another. Cool. Let's, just like we open with a good aspirations, it's always important to close in the same way. So we bring our hands into the prayer pose and center the energy at our heart. And sometimes you think of our families and think of the ones we really love so much. And we feel that love in the heart, and we spread it around. And give our good wishes, our positive energies.
May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long time sun shine upon you. Surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long time sun shine upon you. All love surround you. Guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your way on. Guide your way
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for spending time with us together. And thank you, Aki. Thank you, Shar. Thank you, everybody on the LFA team for all the work that takes this stuff to happen. And Happy New Year. Lots of love to you. Hoping to share this with you starting Thursday. But in either way, keep in touch. And lots of love to you, to your families. Wishing you a happy, prosperous, healthy New Year. See you soon. Satnam. But you're wired somehow. Like you have a certain way of existing that is absolutely natural and skillful for you. You're talented in that way. It's how your heart expresses itself. It's how you get inside of love, and how love expresses itself uniquely through you.
If you have a mind, you have a mission.
If you have a mind,
You have a mission.
If you have a mind,
You have a mission.
over time, the Life Force Academy has allowed me to just go deeper and deeper into myself.
The online experience through Life Force Academy is like no other platform that I have ever discovered. Between your video production, your sound production, Simrit's music, it just all comes together and it really helps lift me up and take me to the next level.
There's no way to actually love another person unless you love yourself. So it's not even possible to have genuine concern for others without self-love.
I'm telling you, Jai, I've never thought that I could do Kundalini Yoga, but thanks to you and the way in which you lead the Kriyas,
I truly recommend getting on this train. It's really been our connection to the world. It's kept us grounded.
Of course, the voice of Simrit, the sound current just moves through you.
And then we project from the heart using the navel so it penetrates and has an effect.
Your practice has allowed me for the first time to remove the negativity.
Very stressful. So just the whole 90 minutes was just such a release of being able to replace the chi with some really positive healing stuff. So thank you.
I've had situations with my back, my hip, sciatica. I am getting on the floor. I will just sit there with my legs straight. I will lean my back against the chair, and I just envisioned that I was doing exactly what the girl was in the video.
Extremely helpful for me to center me and deal with the kind of issues that I deal with in my daily life.
The 40-day challenge especially, I find that if that is my base for every morning, then I just feel more centered generally.
A sense of community, a sense of connection, a sense of focus. I'm online because I have a vision that needs execution, and this keeps me in line.